Newman. I'm the president and founder of the Oak Forest High School Alumni Association. I was at the previous meeting in Tinley Park, and I heard you guys mention something about you guys were implementing, I guess, iPads into the high schools, which I thought was a really great idea. And we had actually been talking about it prior at our meetings about using. Let me explain our organization before we dive in. What we do is we connect alumni together so they can help and network with their jobs, as well as do a large philanthropic arm to help students get scholarships to college, as well as help current students in Oak Forest High School. And when we heard about this iPad, addition, we were thinking, oh, well, we were thinking about doing this, and we were going to donate next school year, not this coming school year, but the following school year, some iPads to try to raise some money to do that. And with this new implementation, we were thinking, well, it sounds like the students are buying it. So I was wondering where I could get information on how this is working and if there's a room for any kind of philanthropic help with this. I guess I'll turn it to the president, since I'm not going to circle forward, superintendent.
Absolutely, we'll work together. If you can speak to Lori or give your information to Mr. Voss, we'll be in contact. We'll work on something really good, whatever it is, I don't know.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Anyone else? Move on to report, starting with the superintendent.
Since our last board meeting, we've had no Freedom of Information Act requests. Summer is winding down, and so are construction projects in our school. At Bremen High School, the pool filter has been replaced. Partial tuck pointing has been completed on the southeast side of the building. Tinley Park High School, the domestic hot water boilers and holding tanks have been replaced, and the main office in room 108 has been abated. At Hillcrest High School, the replacement of the rooftop mammoth units are on schedule to be completed by the first week of August. And at Oak Forest, the pool boiler has been rebuilt, recertified, and new domestic hot water heaters have been replaced. Our staff is now preparing for our opening of school year 2015-16. The registration process is ongoing and planning meetings are taking place. Opening Day Institute for Teachers will be August 13th. Freshman students will start school on Monday, August 17th, and all students will be in session for the start of school on August 18th. I hope everyone is having an enjoyable summer and looking forward to the new school year. Thank you.
Do any board members have anything to report?
I do. I just have a few questions. I'll try to be brief. First one is for Dr. Kendall. These are questions, Dr. Kendall, going back to the meeting we had in July. So I hope they can answer that. Was Mr. Hauser's law firm ever removed from representing the district?
No.
Okay, why?
I don't know.
Okay. Who's responsible for letting Mr. Hauser know that the services were no longer needed? Who was the person responsible for that after we took the vote at the reorganization meeting?
Well, we had a discussion about a number of items that were still open. So there were maybe close to a dozen items that the House Rizzo firm was working on. So I see it necessary to and I don't know if my decision to remove them was on record. I just was silent.
You didn't know what to do.
Well, I knew that they were working for us on a number of things.
You had mentioned that to me. You had asked my opinion if they should continue working on current legal issues. Do you remember that conversation? Yeah. And I told you, well, I'm not in a position to answer that, but in my opinion, this is what I do. Remember, I answer my opinion. This is what I would do if I was in your shoes.
I think we discussed transitioning all new business with Mr. Murphy, all older business in the state of House Rizzo. So it never came to my mind to recommend termination of Officer Rizzo.
Okay. Which leads into my next question. How many years have you been with the district? I think you stated what, 8?
8 is superintendent, 12 in the district.
That's superintendent.
Yeah, completely.
Okay. How many law firms have we had during that time? Who have they been?
Well, Ray Hauser was representing this team. There's 2 or 3 different.
I don't know if that would ever pick up the voices.
Yeah. Oh, can you hear me now? Hello? Have we ever had 2 law firms as our full-time law firm representative? Have we ever had 2 law firms representing us?
Don't know the answer.
During your tenure?
No,
No, we have not.
we haven't changed one.
So we've never had 2 simultaneously that you know of during your tenure, full-time law firm.
Other than transition to Murphy and Officer Rizzo.
The transition to Murphy from Hauser is
Correct.
okay. Thank you. Page 9, and I don't know if you have this, Bill, and I don't want to set you up with this, but I'll try to give you as much information, and you can look at this. This is a page 9 of the charges against me on the transcripts that the court reporter was writing. It's page 9. I got it. And I'm just trying to get some clarification on some of this stuff. Are you there?
Yeah.
Oh. On line 16, Mr. Hauser asked you a question. Are you answering, and this is the question, are you answering questions here tonight voluntarily? What's your answer on that?
No.
Okay, so on line 18, you say no.
Correct.
Can you elaborate a little bit on that? What you meant by that? You're not here voluntarily? I'm kind of unclear what just no meant.
I took voluntarily means that it was something that I could have said, no, I'm not doing. I didn't feel like I could refuse as a superintendent to be.
Why not? Was somebody?
I didn't want to be, certainly didn't want to be insubordinate.
Can you state who asked you to be there that evening, specifically?
Mrs. Stearns.
Mrs. Stearns asked you? Okay, on the next thing on line 19, Bill, it says, why are you here? Okay, and line 20, you state, I'm here because board members asked me to be here, and then, comma, told me to be here. Can you elaborate on that just a little bit more for me so I can understand that a little bit more? They told you, how were you told? Were you told in a group of 4 board members, in a group of 2? How was it? Was it one person?
It was individual phone calls. It started with the meeting with Ms. Stearns.
A meeting with Mr.
She came in and asked a number of questions.
All right. Okay, that's fine on that question. Thank you for answering. In one of our first meetings in your office, and we can talk about dates in a minute, but did you ask me for weekly meetings to discuss district business? And specifically, you thought Thursdays were good for you, and then you asked me, and I said Thursdays, I'd have to see, but for the most part, it was good. Did you ask me to meet weekly to discuss district business on Thursdays with you privately in your office? Or I even suggested maybe at a restaurant or something, or
I thought it might be helpful in a transition period, because we were having phone calls throughout the time period. It might be helpful just to save them all up and make it more efficient for both of us.
Did you consult with the other board members about asking me about this meeting on every week? Why not?
Because usually you have more conversations with the president than you do with the rest of the board. So you look for some kind of direction where the board's going to be.
From the president. Next question on that, Bill. Have you ever done this with other board presidents? You stated that under your tenure, you've worked with John Kirkman, Mrs. Stearns, and then myself. Have you ever requested a weekly meeting to discuss district business with the president? Have you ever requested that from Ms. Stearns or Mr. Kirkman?
No.
Why did you feel that it was needed from me?
Because I felt that the questions in the requests were going to require more conversation than simple phone call.
Hold on, let me process that. Can you restate that again? I don't understand your answer. Put it in different terms. Why did you feel that you needed a meeting with me versus the other presidents that you work with?
Well, I think the difference was when I called Ms. Stearns or when I called Mr. Kirkman, it was me making the initiation. Hey, we have this going on. What do you think about this? I was getting more direction from you than what I was used to. And I felt it would be better to process that face-to-face than simply phone call. And it wasn't something that I planned to do forever until the transition was made.
Did you get permission from the other board members to set this meeting up? Did you call each board member or send an email out to them and say, I'd like to meet with Mr. Kennedy?
No.
On a week? Why not?
Crossed my mind to do that.
How much more do you have? Because I
Just a
feel
little
like
bit
this is
more.
turning into a hearing.
No, it's not. It's just some clarification because I only got a few 48 hours with, to prepare. And I just wanted to try to wrap some of this stuff up and, so I do appreciate your patience. On these meetings, what did you have in mind to discuss with me? Since you proposed the meetings, specifically, could you give me anything specifically that you would want to discuss in these meetings with me?
No.
Agenda items?
No, I was preparing for things as they came up, and it just seemed like it would be more beneficial.
So you just allotted some time to
They just
have-
blocked out, right?
Okay, so you had no agenda in your head that you wanted to discuss at those specific meetings? And anything? Okay. Thank you. That's all I have for now on this. And it's 300 pages, and I'm sure I'll have more down the road to ask you.
Absolutely.
Just to help some clarifications on it. Okay. Mrs. Stearns, I have a question for you. And I'm sorry, this sounds like a part two of the hearing, but since I was the main event, I have a few questions here. Mrs. Stearns, how many board members did you contact regarding removing me as president?
I was contacted by other board members with concerns they had
Okay.
about their perception of how things were being handled, their dismay at how things were being handled.
Okay.
And that's when I went to speak with Dr. Kendall to confirm and ask him different situations that I heard about, which led to follow-up questions and follow-up questions.
Gotcha. But here's the question. How many board members did you contact regarding removing me as president? Because you had to Well, you had to do nothing, I'm assuming here. Did you call to get your 4 votes lined up? Did you call individual? Did you poll? How did you
I
arrive?
was contacted by every other board member saying something needs to be done. And that's when I said, well, I will look into it.
Every other, could we get names on that?
Well, not every other board member. By Mr. Johnson, by Mrs. Gleason, by Mrs. Jones.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so those are the board members that you contacted?
No, they
They
contacted
contacted you, okay. Okay. How many board members do we have?
7.
Did you bother contacting the other 3?
I did not.
Can I ask you why?
The way I looked at it, we were contacted about decisions you made prior, right or wrong. We were given the courtesy of an agenda, so.
So when you say we, are you saying now your new majority?
Versus Path for Progress, which is what I understand everybody's calls themselves.
So, do you recognize that there are 7 board members?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. And that you only contacted 4
Absolutely.
regarding that issue?
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay, great.
Who did you contact regarding the change in the legal firm?
I'm asking questions.
I'm asking a question. So you're refusing to answer?
This was my time to
Okay, thanks.
ask questions. Okay. I have one more thing.
Didn't you send an email to everybody?
No.
I don't recall. I didn't try.
Ms. Resler, did you get a call regarding the meeting to remove me as president? Ms. Cantor, did you get a call regarding removing me as president? Okay. One more thing, and I'm done. It should be pretty quick. Mr. Kendall, Mr. Kendall, in one of our meetings, I gave you copies of concerns. I also asked Mrs. DeVos to send each board member a note asking them, coming off the election, if they've heard concerns, anything that they're concerned about, things that the district needs to take a look at, correct?
Yes.
And I gave you copies of those? Okay. I'd like to read mine, and if the other board members would like to read theirs. But I'll make this note that I asked Ms. DeVos to email those back, and I only got 4 responses. I got Ms. Campworth's, Ms. Resler's, obviously I had my own, and I had Ms. Gleason's. And Ms. Gleason, you can read your own, or I can read it for you. Good. I'll start with mine, and again, the other board members can read theirs if they want. I just would like this in a public record of issues and concerns that were heard on the campaign trail for the campaign in April. Ms. DeVos, thank you. These are things that the community had approached me or have heard during the campaign of 2015. Raise test scores to meet state standards. Develop a plan to balance the budget, a DRP, deficit reduction plan. Develop a late start schedule for emergency weather days. Implement a robust industrial arts program in District 228. Revisit the AP curriculum. Improve programming for special needs students. Improve budgets for the fine arts program. Videotape board meetings and put on district website. We've attained that, so we have made some progress. Revisit cell phone use in schools. Address student health / wellness, vending machines, cafeteria food. Develop health and wellness committee. Improve athletic facilities / possibly looking at athletic surfaces. Explore new activities / athletic programs for the district. And review Charlotte Danielson evaluation model. Now, these aren't Larry Canning's. These are issues that were brought to my attention during the campaign trail, knocking on doors and all that. So I would like that put into public record as something that we need to work on. And I'll address the other board members and say I agree with that we need to work on this stuff. So thank you for your time.
Can you repeat that last sentence? Address the other board members?
These are issues that came from the public, so you're stating you don't agree with the public
Well, I
if you don't
think
agree with these.
they're at opposite ends of the continuum. It's difficult to reduce the budget, have more programs, put in $1 million athletic fields. It seems mutually exclusive.
I would have to say, don't kill the messenger. I agree with many of these. I agree with many of them need work, okay? But this, I am the messenger from the community, and it's my job to bring this to administration and also the board. That's what I'm doing.
Well, I've never seen that list, and it's been 2 months, 3 months?
That's why I'm reading it to you, because I haven't seen any action on it.
When?
Excuse me, Ms.
Who asked
Gleason.
for it when? It was so important for all of us that we never received these.
Dr. Kendall
While
had
you
them.
were
Please address Dr.
president.
Kendall on that. He
I'm
had
asking
them.
you, the one that said it.
Dr. Kendall had them. He made copies. I have heard nothing, and that's why I'm bringing it to the attention to the full board and administration and letting the community know I'm following through with what they asked me to do. Thank you.
This is why I did not respond to via a piece of paper.
Oh.
Because it's an ineffective way. So what happens with a piece of paper? What we need to do is have a committee of the whole meeting and discuss these things.
I'm bringing it forward. I'm not saying I'm in favor or not in favor of any of the issues. I believe that it has to be read out loud. It went nowhere when I gave it to Dr. Kendall. I'm putting it here in front of the full board and administration, and I'm doing it for the community.
Was he given direction to act on any of them?
He was given these things, as I stated to you, that this was from the community. These are community concerns. He's our superintendent. He needs to be aware of community concerns.
So he's aware, but you're saying he didn't act.
He has not acted, correct?
Who directed him to act?
He has not acted. I don't know. He could have brought it to the board. He brings other things to us to act on. I don't know why this never made it in front of you. This should have made it in front of you the
How many
last
board members does it take to bring something to the board to get the board to act on?
It's the president or 3 board members.
Or our superintendent, once our superintendent knows. Okay. Mrs.
That's not
Gleason.
necessarily true, Mr. Cannon, once he knows. He brings a recommendation that he wants us to approve.
Sure.
You saying that he'd like us to approve $4 million for athletic
It's
fields?
something that he brings to us and we discuss.
We've discussed this in the past, as you well know, as a member of the finance committee.
A lot of these issues we have not. It's my duty from the community to bring it to everybody's attention. And as you stated earlier, you didn't mind if I read yours. You did submit one. Your concerns were, why is that Kim Campworth chairs 2 committees and Leslie Jones has none?
That's a concern. It's disrespectful to a tenured board member.
When I asked Lori DeVos to post it and ask you guys your concerns, I asked for specific issues. If you feel that that's something to make the district run better, okay, that's your opinion.
Anyone else?
I have, in response to Mr. Canning's request for a list, I too, while I campaign, heard a lot from the community, the public, and I'll just briefly read my list. I have a copy for everyone, and it does have some ideas that the community would like to see improved. One was student achievement, raising test scores, reviewing the AP curriculum. Second was the budget, reviewing the budget, reducing the deficit. Promote attendance, increase attendance in industrial tech and auto mechanic programs. Review the math curriculum. A lot of outcry about the completion grades in our math curriculum. Improve communications with parents between the counselors, the teachers, case managers. Talking about possibly having report cards or progress reports mailed home, because there's not many parents that do not use the Power School. The school calendar, I had some people say, maybe we should start later and end later. When the semester ends, it should be on the last day of finals. Eliminating days off during midweek. Review the freshman learning center practices. Incorporate some time management training and organizational skills into the learning centers. Cell phones, they should only be allowed at lunch. Respect among students, the need for more discipline. Hillcrest High School, come up with ways to create improvement for that, way to get parents involved, the morale, the atmosphere between the teachers and the students, review funding for fine arts and band programs at the schools, increase parent-student involvement, perhaps with an open house, having representatives from clubs and athletic departments and fine art programs available, review the cost of providing transportation for students that want to take a class in another district school, and reduce the cost of the lunches, explore new companies and vendors. And those were some of the things I heard from the community while I campaigned.
Mr. Kenny, can you hear me?
Excuse me?
Can you hear me? This is Leslie Jones.
Yes.
Okay, so are you saying that I never gave any communications as to the concerns of the community?
No, Leslie, I'm saying that all I received was 4 of them, and yours wasn't one of them. So I'm not saying that you didn't turn one in, I just received 4.
Okay, emails, no one. Do you remember that we communicated regrettably to see where, you know, the different changes that we would like to have in the community? Did I not talk to you about that?
No, you didn't talk to me about a list of concerns from the community. I mean, you had concerns, yes, that we discussed in the past. Some of them are on the list, but I didn't receive a list from you, so I don't know if it was, I'm not saying that you didn't have one, I just didn't get one from you.
I'm saying is that I communicated today to you verbally, in person as well as over the phone.
I specifically asked for them in writing so I could present them to Dr. Kennedy, which I did. And I'll tell you what, I don't think it's too late for you to get yours in. No one's applying that. So if you have it, definitely, please, we're here for the community.
And again, I'd just like to say that's an ineffective way to do it because Dr. Kendall cannot take any action on any of these things except for compile a list. We have to have a meeting and discuss it.
He brings it to our attention, and then we can take a look and discuss each one of them. I'm not saying
This is a
school
meeting
issue.
all on its own.
Well, I think that was the goal. Let's set that up then and start moving forward.
And why did the president call?
Okay, is that it?
I did receive the lists, and I think I received them on about June 4th. The items on the list were of a significant nature. So I don't want to bring a list to the board without a complete understanding, without background information, data to create a complete picture. So if the inference is that I just took those and ignored them, it's certainly not true. But we were in the process of trying to understand what's going on. And it's significant.
Well, obviously, they are very significant changes, and for the 2.5 years I've been here, it's never been discussed in open session. I haven't been involved in discussing this stuff in open session.
Student improvement has never been discussed.
Certain models that maybe Corey has brought, yes, okay, but as far as the length of lists like this, and you know, it's information from the public. They're certainly not lawyers, and I'm sure that they don't know how to put it in the right language, and maybe some do. But this is just a synopsis of where a lot of the community members are at and what they would like us to work on, rather than political bickering.
I'd like to say that when I tried to correct some of the misstatement on the campaign website, I was immediately
We're not here to talk about campaign. I just got done saying that political bickering is not going to achieve success for these lists that we have from our community.
wasted a half hour.
You consider it wasted time. I consider it meeting the obligations of what I'm here to do is bring forth concerns to our administration. We're board members, that's what we're supposed to do.
Mr. Canning, did you not receive my list?
I did
made a
not.
list.
I did not.
Tilly Park Library.
I did not receive a list from you, Mr. Jefferson. If you would like to state what was on your list, I don't have any. I'm just bringing my
Mr.
list.
Cole was stating that there's some maybe misappropriated funds that he'll bring to us. there's also around, I feel that there's a level of discrimination in this district.
You did talk about that.
Okay. But they didn't make your list.
I didn't have a list from you, paper list. I asked a paper list from Mr. Boss. It's better to have a paper. I didn't see it. And you can submit it, obviously. No one's saying they didn't say those things.
Ms. Russell, can you please proceed with finance?
Finance Committee met on July 9th at 6:25. Present were Mrs. Ressler, Mrs. Camworth, Mr. Canning, and Mr. O'Malley. Absent were none, guests were none. There was no old business, new business, July bills, impress funds, deposits. The Finance Committee reviewed and discussed July bills, impress expenditures, and deposits. The Finance Committee, along with the Superintendent, is recommending full board approval of the July bills, addendums to bills, impress expenditures, and deposits. There were no over 5,000 purchase orders. Career Development System, CDS bills. The Finance Committee reviewed the CDS July bills totaling $180,612.28. The Finance Committee, along with the Superintendent, is recommending full board approval of the CDS July bills as presented. Career Development System, fiscal year 2015-2016 tentative budget. The Finance Committee discussed the CDS tentative budget, and the Superintendent is recommending approval of the tentative budget. Bremen District 228 fiscal year 2015-2016 budget. The Finance Committee discussed the district's tentative budget. Mr. O'Malley explained that this is still a working document and that the final budget will be discussed and presented in September. The district projects additional losses in revenue again for fiscal year 2016. The district has cut expenditures each year for the last 8 years and will continue to do so for the fiscal year 2016 budget. Plans for future saving reductions will be discussed in upcoming months. The Finance Committee, along with the Superintendent, is recommending approval of the 2015-2016 tentative budget. The budget will be on display for the public at the Administration Center. Next meeting is August 10th, 2015 at 7 p.m. in the Administrative Center. The meeting adjourned at 7:29 p.m.
Thank you. Ms. Camworth, teaching and learning?
Teaching and learning was on July 14th. Present were Mrs. Camworth, Ms. Stearns, Mrs. Gleason, and Dr. Williams. Absent were none, guests were none, no comments from the public. New business, Dr. Williams reviewed the sectioning process with the committee in order to provide context when discussing class sizes. With this knowledge, the committee looked at overall class sizes by department and building. A discussion was held regarding classes that were currently over the window and how these issues will be resolved. While most of the issues can be fixed by balancing out high and low enrollments, there may be a need to add more sections before the school year starts. The committee discussed the need to approve 5 unnamed sections to be used only if necessary to reduce class size. Dr. Williams will conduct another review of class sizes after August 1st. Any sections added will be reported at the August committee meeting. The next meeting will be on Tuesday, August 11th at 7 o'clock.
Thank you. Personnel met July 13th. Ms. Ressler, Mr. Doggins, and myself were present. We discussed the following certificated staff: the employment of a part-time 60% math teacher and a special education service facilitator for Bremen, the approval of a maternity leave request for a special education teacher, and the improvement of the employment of a Delta director for Tinley Park, the acceptance of the resignation of a project manager at Tinley Park, the approval of the employment of a phys ed teacher, a media specialist, a special education service facilitator, and 3 math tutors for Hillcrest, and the acceptance of the resignation of a Spanish teacher at Hillcrest, the approval of the employment of a part-time 50% special ed teacher, 2 English doctors, a learning center facilitator, 2 math tutors, a science tutor, and a bilingual tutor for Oak Forest, the acceptance of a retirement request of a dean, and the resignation of a services facilitator at Oak Forest. And at the district level, the change in position of a special education teacher to a special education coordinator. After reviewing all these items, the committee agreed to make recommendations to the full board. Mr. Gaga has not presented the following educational support personnel recommendations for discussion. The resignation of a special ed secretary at Bremen. The acceptance of a resignation of a weekend custodian at Tinley. The next meeting is August 10th at 6:30 at the Ad Center. Thank you. New business, Mr. O'Malley?
Thank you, Mrs. Chairman. Board members, item 8.1 pertains to the bills, the addendum bills, the payroll, and CES bills. As Mrs. Ressler has mentioned, these have been reviewed by the Finance Committee and along with the Superintendent, recommending them to the full board for approval.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Mr. Canny, second by Mr. Johnson. Any discussion? No discussion.
Mr. Canning?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mrs. Gleason? Aye. Mrs. Jones?
Aye.
Mrs. Camworth, aye. Mrs. Ressler? Aye. Mrs. Stearns?
Item 8.2 pertains to District 228's fiscal year 2015-16 tentative budget. This budget will be on review for 30 days at the Ed Center before it's finalized and presented to the board in September. It's still a working document. As additional information becomes solidified, that will, the projections and the budget figures will be updated. The Finance Committee, along with the Superintendent, are recommending this budget this evening.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Jones, second by Mrs. Ressler. Any discussion? No discussion.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mrs. Ressler? Aye. Mr. Canning?
Aye.
Mrs. Gleason? Aye. Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mrs. Camworth, aye. Ms. Stearns?
Aye.
Item 8.3 pertains to the career development system fiscal year 2016 tentative budget. The Finance Committee and the Superintendent have reviewed this and are recommending this this evening.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Ressler, second by Mrs. Jones. Any discussion?
Ms. Stearns, no, not on this one, but I'd like to ask you a question after this one.
Mrs. Ressler? Aye. Ms. Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Canning?
Aye.
Mrs. Gleason? Aye. Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mrs. Camworth, aye. Ms. Stearns?
On item 8.2 that we just passed, can I make a quick statement? Or if you're not okay with it, I can make a nice okay with that? Okay. We discussed in Finance Committee the deficit reduction plan, or one that's being developed, correct? Correct, Mr. O'Malley. So I just wanted to say that being part of that committee, that I'm pretty happy to hear that we're at least looking at it, and we're looking at ways to reduce our problem as far as finance and deficit. So I approve the tentative budget with knowledge, knowing that you're working on deficit reduction plans for us for the future.
There's some options for the board to consider putting into place.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Item 8.4 pertains to the winter athletic bids. The Finance Committee has reviewed the low bids, and along with the Superintendent, we're recommending the low bids to the board this evening.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Ressler, second by Mr. Canning. Any discussion? No discussion.
Mrs. Ressler? Aye. Mr. Canning?
Aye.
Mrs. Gleason? Aye. Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mrs. Jones?
Aye.
Mrs. Camworth, aye. Ms. Stearns?
Aye.
Item 8.5 is the custodian supplies bid, and we've reviewed the low bids, cherry-picked the low bids, and the Finance Committee, along with the Superintendent, are recommending the low bids this evening.
Second. Or so moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Canning, second by Mrs. Ressler. Any discussion? No discussion.
Mr. Canning?
Aye.
Mrs. Ressler? Aye. Mrs. Gleason? Aye. Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mrs. Jones?
Aye.
Mrs. Camworth, aye. Ms. Stearns?
Aye.
These sections will only be added if necessary. The Teaching and Learning Committee, along with the superintendent, is recommending the addition of 5 sections in a full board.
So moved.
Second. Leslie, always explaining the need for 5 anonymous sections so that she doesn't have to wait for board approval to put the classes in the schedule.
Okay.
Ms. Gleason? Aye. Ms. Stearns?
Aye.
Mr. Canning?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mrs. Jones?
Aye.
Mrs. Camworth? Aye. Ms. Wrestler? Aye.
Item 8.7 is the 2015-16 South Suburban Conference dues. The dues remains the same as last year, $9,800 per school. It includes both athletics and activities, and I'm recommending this for full board approval.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? No discussion?
Mrs. Gleason? Aye. Ms. Stearns?
Aye.
Mr. Canning?
I wish they could be lower, but aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mrs. Jones?
Aye.
Mrs. Camworth? Aye. Mrs. Wrestler? Aye.
Passes.
Item 8.8 is the scope, annual scope dues. Scope represents the south and southwest suburbs in their efforts in Springfield. The dues is $2,014, and it's for the 2015-16 school year. And I'm recommending full board approval of the scope dues.
You know, I'll move that.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
By Mr. Cannon, second by Mrs. Camworth. Any discussion?
Bill, what was the cost on that again? $2,014. And can you explain for the public again what that is?
SCOPE is an organization that represents all elementary and high schools in the area with regard to laws and budgeting down in Springfield. So as you see, the Senate and the House and the governor can't pass a budget now. They're a voice for school districts in the whole process.
That's what they provide, service for us.
Yes.
So they're on our behalf lobbying down in Springfield.
Correct.
Have the dues gone up significantly?
The dues this year is the same as last year because there is no budget in Springfield, so they held the line on that. It's a combination of EAV and enrollment. There's a formula, mathematical formula, and then there's 3 levels. We're at a higher level.
Have we seen anything come back from them as far as reports or I guess just the effectiveness of them?
We get an email blast when something's going on in Springfield that reminds me to call our legislators that work locally for us. They also make us stand as a larger organization to the legislature.
Is it just this group or do we also have other areas?
We have 2 groups. The other group that we have is the HSDO, which is the high school district organization. They focus more exclusively on issues of high school, so it's a more of a state type of organization because it reflects high schools, and so they address different things for us. Can you measure how successful they are? I don't know what you can measure.
That was my next question. What do you think is the success rate for that? How do we benefit from that?
It's really hard to judge because there's some things coming out of Springfield that we agree with, some things that we disagree with. They're incredibly loud on the unfunded mandates right now, so they understand the budget crisis with the state. So what their major plea is, don't give us more initiatives that are going to cost us more money. So they understand the big picture, and everybody's trying to figure out what Springfield's doing.
How often do you get communication from them?
It goes on, it's cyclical based on what's happening down in Springfield.
So we could go months without hearing from them, or we could go days without hearing from them.
You can get 3 or 4 in a day, or depending on what's happening and what they're hearing from the floor down in Springfield.
Can we get copies of that?
You can sign up with the email.
Yeah, I can make sure everybody gets an email blast from them.
Oh, that'd be fantastic. Thank you.
Anything else?
Mr. Canning?
Aye.
Mrs. Campbell, aye. Mrs. Gleason? No. Mr. Johnson?
Abstain.
Mrs. Jones?
Aye.
Mrs. Ressler?
Aye.
Ms. Stearns?
Motion passes. Item 8.9, in order that we do not have 2 legal firms representing us, I am going to make a motion to release the law firm of Rosenthal, Murphy, Colette, and Donahue from any future service. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Jones, second by Mrs. Jones. Discussion?
Yes. So I have the letter to Mr. Murphy. I believe that these are your points. I just have a couple questions on there. So you say on your first point, 4 board members feel that Hauser Izzo firm has more knowledge on our district. Who were the 4 board members, Ms. Stearns?
Myself, Mrs. Gleason, Mr. Johnson, and Mrs. Jones.
Did you ask the full board?
You did not?
What was that?
I did not.
You did not, okay. On this second point, I'll read it. Not being available at the April 28, 2015 reorganization meeting, Mr. Canning stated that you were unavailable for the meeting because of a previous meeting commitment. However, in a special board meeting on July 8, Mr. Canning shared an email from you stating that you were directed by Dr. Kendall not to attend the reorganization meeting. Just a couple questions and points on that. Dr. Kendall, did you state to Mr. Murphy not to come to the reorganization meeting? Yes or no? I guess.
I don't think the answer is.
I just want to know, did you direct him not to come to the reorganization board so the board could get information from them before we made our vote?
I do not consider it a direct question.
And what was your response to the question from Mr. Murphy, whether he should be there or not?
I said, if I didn't have to be there, I wouldn't. It was a very quick conversation. I did not understand. We already had a conversation with him.
Did you? Okay, let's back up then. He did have a conversation with me. I did direct him to come because the new board members would have questions and they needed the information before they made the vote. As he did his presentation the following meeting is what I was hoping the board would hear and an opportunity for the board to ask him questions. So with that said, I'm just looking for a yes or no answer. Did you tell Mr. Murphy not to attend that meeting?
Again, he asked me a
Ms.
question.
Gleason,
It's not a
can-
trial.
can-
This is not a trial.
Absolutely
You don't
no
get
trial.
to say it's a yes or no answer.
It's a, pretty basic. I just want to know.
You told people that he wasn't available. Why did you lie to the public?
I did not lie to the
Well,
public.
I think we can pull up the tape and listen to that.
He was told not to come. He made further arrangements, and obviously he couldn't come. He has a deposition, and that's what I told Mr.
Canning, if you told him to be there, we both know he would have been there.
Now, I'll read. Again, can I get your answer on that,
No.
Dr. Kendall?
No, don't answer.
Did you? It's a simple question. and We've had
The rest
this.
of you feel that he needs to answer this? I don't.
Was-
He's saying no,
was
he did
this
not direct him
familiar?
not
You
to
already
come.
answered the question.
Dr.
You don't
Kendall,
like the answer?
could Dr. Kendall answer for himself? He can't? Why
Yes.
not? He's a doctor.
Because you're grandstanding to the camera.
There's no grandstanding. I need some answers.
You already answered the question. You didn't like the answer.
If I knew that you directed him to be there, I would have said absolutely no. He did not make that clear to me that you had a conversation with him, and I would have been happy for him to be there. It didn't affect me either way.
Do you remember your comment to him about why he shouldn't be there?
Yeah, that's what I said. I think it's going to be a Zoom. And
It
if
was
I
going
didn't
to get ugly.
or get ugly, and if I didn't have to be there, I wouldn't either. That's what I said. I don't know if that's right, wrong.
So in a
Some
sense,
people
you
call it-
denied the board the right to hear from our potential new attorney.
Well, I think the board can decide whether I denied it or not. In my opinion, I did not deny that at all.
Mr. Canning.
Hold on, Ms. Jones. Number 3, 4 board members felt that you spoke.
The question that you just answered is on, if you look back at the tape on 44 minutes and 30 seconds, you stated clearly that he was not available to meet with. You can look back at the tape for April 3rd, April 28th meeting.
Correct. He was not available because he was directed by Dr. Kendall not to come because, quote unquote, things could get ugly. So, Mr. Murphy, and I'm not going to speak for Mr. Murphy, but Mr. Murphy's schedule got booked after he was told not to come.
Please read the roll call.
That's not the way I understood it.
Okay, well, that's the way it is.
Excuse me, is that the way anybody else understood it?
No.
Well, I don't know how to make it any clearer. He wasn't available. He scheduled another appointment after Dr. Kendall told him not to be here.
Well, if he said that, she just stated, Mr. Kendall, Dr. Kendall just stated that he said he didn't go, but he didn't make a direct statement saying no, go.
Ms. Jones, I'm not done.
He didn't say no, don't go. He asked, according to what was just stated, the way I interpreted it, I don't know how everybody else is interpreting that, but the way I interpreted that, like, why would the attorney have to ask Dr. Kendall whether to go on something or not? That doesn't make sense to me.
Because he's potentially a new client for the district. And then again, I'm not speaking for Mr. Murphy. You can give him a call and ask him yourself.
Is he here tonight?
No, he's being terminated, or potentially being terminated.
I mean, is he there tonight? Yes?
No. At the board meeting, no.
Because I can't see, I can't.
He is not here, Leslie.
All right.
Mrs. Stearns, just real quick, on your number 3, 4 board members felt that you, meaning John Murphy, spoke in a rude and disrobed tone to a member of the board who was asking a clarifying question. Who were the 4 board members?
The same four as the
The
previous.
same board, okay. And then on number 4, board members have been frustrated by the lack of progress in the JFA negotiations. How many negotiations had John Murphy been involved in? And how many negotiations prior to Mr. Murphy being our lawyer were there? Mrs. Stearns.
I want to say 4 meetings that Mr. Murphy was a part of.
We have the JFA representative or union president here. How many, could you ask a question, Kathy?
I did hear the question. I think it was half and half.
I'm calling for the vote.
Excuse me.
No, I'm
I'm
calling
ordered
you
the
don't get to
time.
poll the audience. That's not how a board operates.
She didn't know, so I'm asking somebody that knows.
Call
How
for the
many
question,
meetings did
Mr.
Mr. Murphy, excuse me, how many meetings did Mr. Murphy have before, while he was our attorney, and how many meetings were
Enough to
there?
get us unfair labor practice out. That's enough.
I'm asking a simple question. I want to know if Mr. Murphy had an opportunity to represent us fairly.
Mrs. Stearns, I call for the question.
Mrs. Stearns, would you answer the question?
Four.
There was four
Mrs. Kingworth,
before.
please.
I have one question on your letter. Number 4, or your last paragraph, you gave the letter to the Attorney Murphy. I am your words to Mr. Murphy. I am directing you to not engage in any District 228 business until a decision is made at the July 21st, 2015 board meeting. Just a statement for the record, as I recall, that was exactly what you had a hearing against Mr. Canning about last week.
No, however, I
was to direct
contacted.
Well, I wasn't contacted to ask my opinion.
Correct, and I wasn't contracted regarding my opinion on hiring.
All right, so we're ready for the vote. Mrs. Stearns?
Aye.
Mrs. Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Canning?
No.
Mrs. Gleason? Aye. Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mrs. Campworth, no. Mrs. Ressler?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Item 810 pertains to personnel under resignations. Karen Horvath, Janelle McDonald, Michael Sheehan, D'Angelo Blatcher, Stephanie Liskowitz, and Suzanne Eaton. Under leaves, Angela Sands. Under change of position, Michael Boniface. Under retirement, Lily Holman. Under employment, Bo Blighter, Lauren Brazell, Anthony Patella, Carol Williams, Stephen Batch, Bridget Driscoll, Robert Bruns, Jennifer Silva, Deborah Smith, Glenn Abbott, Christina Grennan, Bridget Trump, Alex Rodosavlicek, John Morose, Terry Mills, Catherine Safransky, April Nikaza, and Abigail Nelson. The Board's Personnel Committee met on June 13th. They reviewed the many certificated and support staff items on the agenda, and these items are now being recommended to the full board for approval.
Second. Moved by Mrs. Gleason, second by Mrs. Stern. Any discussion? No discussion.
Mrs. Gleason? Aye. Ms. Stearns?
Aye.
Mr. Canning?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mrs. Jones?
Aye.
Mrs. Campworth, aye. Mrs. Ressler?
Aye.
Motion passes. I'm looking for a motion to move to closed session to consider information regarding appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees and negotiations.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Jones, second by Mrs. Ressler.
Mrs. Jones?
Aye.
Mrs. Ressler?
Aye.
Mr. Canning?
Aye.
Mrs. Gleason? Aye. Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mrs. Campbell? Aye. Ms. Stearns?
Aye.
Mrs. Gleason? Aye. Mr. Canning?
Aye.
Mrs. Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mrs. Campbell? Aye. Mrs. Ressler? Aye. Ms. Stearns?
Aye. Our announcements are as follows. Personnel will meet August 10th at 6:30 at the Ad Center. Finance, August 10th, 7 p.m. at the Ad Center. Teaching and Learning, August 11th, 7 p.m. at the Ad Center. The next board meeting will be Tuesday, August 18th, 7 p.m. at Oak Forest High School. We have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Gleason, second by Ms. Ressler. All in favor, aye.
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 Aye.